John, we're back.
We are. We're back, Lee.
It's been a while.
It has been a little while. It's been one of those times where
Just
life...
one of those days.
One of those days, one of those few days, I think, where life just got in the way, unfortunately. But no, we're back.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we do live in two opposite cities, so it's not really like we get close together
That's
that
true.
often.
It's true. We do technically live... I mean, because you live...
There's a river separating us.
There is a big river that separates us. However, it actually... I mean, because obviously for context, I drive to Lee's house every time we do this, and I'm always baffled by how quickly I get to your house.
15 minutes?
Like, not even that,
Yeah.
really. It's like, honestly, it's like, it's sometimes less than 15 minutes, and I'm like, God, it's like, because technically you do live a fair distance.
Yeah.
But I can get to your house within, on a good day, maybe even 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I can get to your house, which is incredible. Thank God for the motorway system.
Only time you'll ever say that.
I know.
So every time you're on the motorway, you're stuck.
Thank God for the motorways. Honestly, that'll be on drawing quotes.
So yeah, Umbrella Academy this week.
Umbrella Academy.
It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. I was just gonna say as well, within the time in which the last recordings, I have watched the first season of Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
And I'm halfway through the second season of Umbrella Academy, and also the Queens died.
Yeah, that happened.
That did happen. And at the time of recording, we're still in the middle of the...
Still in state mandatory mourning. We shouldn't be doing this podcast. MI5's listening. We're not mourning.
Oh, dear me. Yeah, we're still in the state of national mourning, as it were. And
That's what we're calling it.
That's what we're calling it. Because it's now the Friday, as now we're recording this, and then in 3 days' time it will be the funeral, which is interesting because on that day,
John's leaving the country.
I'm leaving the country. Me and two mutual friends of ours, we were actually going on holiday to Barcelona for about a couple of days.
And by the time this is out, you'll be back home.
I will, exactly. Yeah, that's true. But nothing's been said yet of a cancelled flight or anything, so I'd be very, very surprised if it did. But we'll see, I guess.
I mean, kind of glad this has happened so quickly because I'm in London on the 1st of October, like that first weekend, and I thought, like, after this happened, I was like, is the coronation going to be around then? Is the funeral?
The coronation will be next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Charles has been officially declared king, but the actual coronation itself will very much not be until next year.
Try saying King Charles without thinking Spaniel after. King Charles Spaniels.
King Charles Spaniels. But yeah, I suppose that's been the main. I suppose that's been the main thing, hasn't it? Really, between.
Did you see that the Prince Charles Cinemas put up a sign saying, "No, we're not changing our name."
No, I've not seen that at all. Actually, I've been kind of like out of the... Well, I mean, no, it's been impossible to be out of the loop in terms of like the internet response sort of like to the Queen's thing. It's like I was saying that on the day that it happened, I was actually quite surprised of like how little anti-monarchist posts were out. Like the vast majority that I saw anyway was like going, oh, the Queen's dead, what a shame, and this, all this, that, and the other. And then a few days into it, they all came out in force.
Which is funny because it came out full force when I saw them.
Yeah.
That's my Twitter feed.
I was like, oh, it's it's inevitable. It's just but that's the beauty of living in a democracy, Lee. We can say what we like.
Apart from Prince Andrew.
Well, is what it is, isn't it?
Could be interim king one time.
I know.
Imagine that.
Oh, he'll never. I mean, that's the thing. He'll never be king. Thank God. But no, yeah, that's been it. Really, I can't think of literally anything else. Really, that's happened. Of course, Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, let's get on to that.
That did happen. Yeah.
That happened.
That happened. So yes. So after my experience of watching Stranger Things.
God, that's what we watched last.
That's what we watched last. Yeah.
It's been a time.
It's been a time. I now moved on to somewhat of another popular Netflix original series that I'm quite surprised. And Jamie, our mutual friend as well, he expressed his surprise that I hadn't came around to watching it really.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Because obviously Umbrella Academy is based on the graphic novel series by the very talented Gerard Way.
Yeah.
He's a really... I've got such a lot of respect for him because he's... because obviously Gerard Way, for those who don't... for those who aren't aware of his other career creative outlets, obviously everybody knows him as the frontman of My Chemical Romance.
Yeah. Wasn't a fan, but...
No? Never a fan?
No. Didn't hit me, but...
no...
I wouldn't have said they were I wouldn't have said no, it was terrible. Just never.
Well, I was gonna say, were you ever into the pop punk thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, My Chemical Romance never hit. Same with Fall Out Boy. Never.
Yeah, I was never a fan. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not a general fan of pop punk, really. I mean, I think it has its moments. I mean, like, because the thing is, it's like I was never into Fall Out Boy. I have actually listened to half of the Black Parade, like the big My Chemical Romance album that like everybody knows.
I thought you were going to say the song there. You just got
it. Just the one song. I only listened halfway through.
Yeah, just the half.
I thought that's enough.
When I was I get it.
I get it. That's enough. Yeah. Good song. That's how I consume music.
Yeah.
I only listen to them halfway through, and I think, that's enough.
Done.
That's enough. Yeah. No, I listened halfway through the album.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Black Parade, or just the Black Parade. I don't know what it's going. But and I have to say, I don't know why I stopped listening. I think, like with most things, something happened, and I had to stop my listening halfway through. And what happened was, I thoroughly enjoyed listening to half of it, and I have to say, I don't know why. As I say, I don't know why I stopped listening. But I am gonna listen to all of it at some point soon because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought this is actually quite good because while I'm on this subject of pop punk, I think a lot of it just generally just isn't good because I think a lot of it is just one trick ponies. They're like, it's a lot of power chords and whiny voices, and the topics tend to be about the same things.
Well, you've heard my Japanese taste in music. You said the exact same stuff.
I said exactly the same thing. Yeah, it's very, but it is quite pop punk inspired, I think, really, and it's just not for me. But it's but the thing is though, is there are moments here and there when these bands like do prove themselves, I think, to be actually competent and good musicians and creative musicians, like Green Day, for example. I mean, like Green Day now are terrible.
I haven't listened to Green Day since after American Idiot, I think.
American Idiot, like Dookie and American Idiot are like...
Oh, Dookie's great.
Dookie's so good. American Idiot is fantastic. And after that, like, they kind of, like, 21st Century Breakdown is fine. Like, I think it gets a little bit of a bad rap, but it's a perfectly fine record. It's nothing outstanding, but it's fine. It's good, And then after that, the trilogy has its moments here and there. But it's you don't need to listen to it. The Revolution Radio, fine. Their recent album, Father of All Motherfuckers, is just, as Anthony Fantano said it, what the hell is this?
Didn't even know that.
What the hell is this? It's like, but the thing is, it's like Green Day, they were a pop punk band technically, I guess, but they're really just a rock band.
Yeah.
More. I mean, if you listen to American Idiot, it's like this is just good, well-written, creative rock music, and it's good, and I feel like the My Chemical Romance were kind of the same thing, and I feel like they did the smart thing. They ended when they should have done, but the thing is with Green Day, I don't think they're bothered really about being relevant anymore.
They're just like making music
because they're just making me, and that's the thing. It's like they've done it, like the Dookie, they that was their first big album, and then they escaped the shadow of Dookie with American Idiot, and they proved themselves. They've done it, and then Rock and Roll Hall of Fame about 10 years later. No wonder Billy Joe Armstrong. He's probably gone, I've done it. Do you know what I mean? I've accomplished literally everything I need to. Now I'm just gonna go on tour until I die and just play my music and just have fun and release music that I want to, and I don't care if anyone likes it. And fair to play it because he's done it. Anyway. But Gerard Way.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. He's. He's a very talented musician, a very talented songwriter whose solo stuff, his one solo album actually, is really good. And he does bits and pieces of music for this series as well, I've noticed. Actually, really, really good comic book writer.
Yeah.
Because that was one of his first loves. He wanted, if I'm not mistaken, he actually originally set out to be
a comic
book writer. If I'm not mistaken, he was under the tutelage of Grant Morrison. Who's obviously a massive name.
Yeah, Superman, to say the least.
All-Star Superman, which is probably arguably the best run on Superman. The Batman Arkham Asylum graphic novel. The Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
He's like a legendary run on Doom Patrol. This is when my comic knowledge is trying to come out now. Other things he's done as well, like Grant Morrison's done loads. He's done absolutely loads.
A lot of DC.
A lot of like DC's kind of his home, because I think he went on record saying he always found DC's characters just so much more interesting than Marvel's characters, which is fair. But no, he was under the tutelage of Grant Morrison, I think, and then so much so that like when Gerard Way actually managed to get into the comic book industry and start writing, he did a run on Doom Patrol. He rebooted Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
And I've read most of it, all of it really. And I absolutely adore it. I think it's so creative and out there and weird and fun. And colourful, and I think that's really what comic books should be.
Yeah.
Really use the medium to its advantage, and it's just really just out there writing. But then in like the late 2000s, I think he did something very original. It did his own original thing, which was Umbrella Academy.
Very least early 2010.
It's.
Because I remember seeing it in comic book shops a lot.
Yeah.
It's got a striking cover.
Yeah, exactly, and like a visual style and all that sort of thing. And then I looked up. I didn't really know anything about Umbrella Academy other than that it's kind of X-Men-y.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then of course, Jamie saying like, you would really like Umbrella Academy because, I already knew it was based off Gerard Way's book, and I was like, well, I love Gerard Way. I think the guy is incredible. And just a lot of personal respect for him. And he was saying like it's got like time travel in there and stuff like that, and
unique powers as well.
Quite unique take on powers and things like that. And I was like, well, I love time travel, and I love Gerard Way, so I probably will enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then I finally got round to it. I haven't read the books.
Same. To be fair, when the first season came out, for an entire year, I don't think you can get hold of the graphic novel.
Yeah.
It was really hard to get hold of.
Really hard to get hold of, yeah. I think I'd love to read them now.
Same,
100%. Yeah. Definitely love to read them now. No, I watched season 1, and I have to say, after a bit of a rocky start,
yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it by the end. By the end of season 1, and I'm halfway through season 2, and I am still very much enjoying it. I thought this was fantastic. I'll get the negatives out of the way first.
Yeah.
When it started, I thought that actually a lot of my issues were with the filmmaking, really. Funnily enough. I thought that because in the first episode you see them dealing with the death of Hargreaves, and Reginald Hargreaves, their father, quote unquote, father, and every fight scene was like in slow motion, and I was like, are we watching a Zack Snyder movie? Like, what's going on here? And I was like, it was just so unnecessary, and it was like kind of badly cut together, and I was like, the fight scenes aren't great. Like, what's going on here? And it was kind of like that a little bit as it started off and stuff, and then I kind of I either got used to it or they just stopped doing it. Because I think they stopped doing it.
I can't remember it happening that much now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, but it stuck out to me so much, and I was like, whatever, I don't like this. But then it went on, and I was like, and the character started to develop so much more.
Oh god.
Like
very character driven.
So character driven. And it did, and I love a good roster. Do you know what I mean? I love
every character. Is great.
Yeah.
And they all share one brain cell between the lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. They're not really intelligent.
All the brothers are dumbasses.
They're so stupid. Actually, like, that's the thing. Like, now that you mention it.
Even Nines, who's really, Five, sorry.
Five is, like,
intelligent.
He's intelligent, but he's so like stubborn to the point where things like overlook him. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and even in like that bit in season 2, like where they meet like a young Hargreaves in the 60s, which I'll get onto in a bit. The whole thing of he went, "You seem to be the most sensible out of all of them," and it's like he is, yeah. And but I mean, I love the characters. I thought, and I think it is like that. It reminded me so much, and I think that Gerard Way was clearly very inspired by it. It reminded me so much of like the original X-Men, like the 60s, like First Class thing, where they're all in like matching uniforms, and they've all got like those archetype characters and powers and stuff like that. So you've got Luther, number
big,
one,
strong guy,
the big strong guy who's he's the archetypal like Cyclops character, like the sort of stick in the mud Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Like I've got to be a leader sort of thing, but he's actually deeply like insecure and troubled, and just really like he's got an inferiority complex
and a sister complex.
And yes. Let's get that out of the way. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Like it's because
they're not related.
They're not related. Yeah, I mean, they're not biologically related. They're not.
It's a whole stepbrother thing.
But does it make it right?
It's very
It's like that. When you look at it, it's like when you look at it on paper, it's like that. I mean, they're very visually, like very clearly not related.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're from different parts of the world.
Yep.
They're from, well, I would imagine they're from different like.
Most of them are, yeah.
Yeah, they're from like different biological. I mean, actually, in the comics, because I watched a history of video on YouTube about the comic book world of the Umbrella Academy, and apparently, I don't know if it's ever expressed in the show, but apparently Luther and Five are twins.
Huh.
And isn't that mad?
Yeah, that's mad. I don't think it's ever mentioned.
I don't think that's ever mentioned or included in the show. I mean, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I mean, you've seen all of it, I presume, have you?
It's never been mentioned. Not that I think of anyway.
And they all have code. They all have like They all have 3 names. Obviously, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and all that, and 7. And they're real names, but they also have like code superhero names, which I don't think they ever they hint at.
You hear it in the first episodes, I think, when you see them being superheroes, and then they just don't really.
Like Luther's name is Space Boy, which you hear a reference to. Allison's is the rumor.
Yeah.
Is Klaus number 3? No, he's number 4, isn't he? Diego's number 3, and his is
Speaking of complexes.
Oh God, I know. His is what was his?
I don't even know what Diego's power really is. He just has knives.
He's just really good at throwing knives. He's got like superhuman durability. Like apparently he can hold his breath for like a really long time, and he's like incredibly. He's got okay, great. He's just incredibly agile, and like he's really good at throwing knives and all that sort of stuff. He's like got uber heightened senses and stuff like that. So it's like. It's like one of the
knives.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those weird powers where it's like he kind of has powers, but not really. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like
if he doesn't have any weapons, he's shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like what can he throw? It's like I can turn anything into a weapon. You know, it's like okay,
yeah,
great. I can't remember what his name was. Fives was the boy.
Yeah.
You know, and he can teleport and travel through time and. Space hop, that was it. Time hop and all that. Klaus, who I love Klaus. Klaus
you can't not love Klaus.
How can you not love Klaus? His was the clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Oh no, no, it wasn't the clairvoyant. It was I mean, his powers as clairvoyance.
Yeah, clairvoyancy.
But the medium, I think, or the psychic, or something like that. I don't know. It was something like that. They're quite generic names.
Yeah. Ben was 6.
Ben was 6, and Ben's was the horror.
Yeah.
Because of what he can do. His body is a portal.
Yeah.
To demonic
Eldritch horrors.
Eldritch horrors, yeah, exactly, which is so cool. And then Vanya, who's number 7, is the white violin.
Yeah.
which obviously is a reference with the final episode and things like that. But yes, back onto it. It's uncomfortable.
Like I'm saying, complexes. Diego has a hell of a mother complex.
God, he does, doesn't he? It's an edible complex if you've ever seen one, really. Well, but is it though?
I mean, Riz's mother keeps calling mom, and he's very...
They all call her mom, to be fair.
But he's very, very, very obsessed.
He is, because... But is that because...
It's not as much as a complex as a sister complex.
Oh, no, the sister complex, Jesus Christ. That is so... It's... Because when you look at it on paper, like I said, it's like, they're not related. They aren't related.
Yeah.
Biologically. They're from different people, like families, technically. I mean, like, because for God's sake, like, Hargreaves isn't even the father. He's just a guy who...
He just bought them.
He just bought them, yeah, really. I mean, so he bought them from various different mothers. But, like, so they were raised to believe that they were family.
Yeah.
You know, so that's... But that alone makes it, like... like, it's like... Because all throughout I was going... Why? I shouldn't really feel uncomfortable, but I do.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, which is part of what makes the show so good. Because it makes you think. It makes you constantly think, is this okay?
Yeah. It's not like Game of Thrones where it's like cousins and actual
like,
brother and sister and stuff.
That is just fucked up.
This is like...
you know what I mean? Like, is it okay?
This is the instance like the hyphen step.
Yeah, very massive hyphen step, you know, to the point of it. But even the step is called into question, like we said there, because is it even step?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's so bizarre. I don't know. It's like, but it is uncomfortable. Even though I did like appreciate the whole like the dancing in the moonlight section, which I quite enjoy. I mean, I always like fantasy sequences like that. You know, I always quite enjoy stuff like that. But it is uncomfortable, and it's like, but that's part of the character, really. I think that's what makes Luther such a compelling character, because he's so deeply traumatized, like by being, you know, obviously he's the last one when they all leave.
Yeah, he's the last one to like trust in his dad.
To trust in his dad, because he has no value beyond the Umbrella Academy. He has no value beyond being a hero, beyond being a superhero, you know. And you know, and it makes that even worse when he, obviously when he nearly dies and he's injected with the monkey juice, to sort of bring him back to life, but he becomes a bit like the Beast.
Yeah, he becomes very hench. Yeah,
he becomes very beast-like in X-Men. Whereas in the comics, that's also slightly strange as well, because in the comics, he had super strength and stuff, but when he dies, they don't inject him with the monkey juice or whatever. They put his head on the body of a Mars gorilla, of a Mars monkey, right? And they give him, and he has all the powers of a Mars monkey, which is basically just super strength, endurance, and all that sort of stuff. So he has like so it's like a head on like a monkey's, like an actual gorilla's massive body from Mars. So it's kind of different, but it's not the wrong.
They might have just thought like it's gonna be a bit weird to explain this monkeys on Mars.
Quite expensive.
We might need to do a full video, like a full episode of monkeys on Mars.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, isn't it? It's
and then comic books, you're like, yeah, fucking, it's just monkeys on Mars.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like they've properly adapted it. To going like, we're gonna have to streamline certain things for the sake of television. And they made absolutely the right call.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine if they did do that? It'd be like, whoa, this is too much, you know. But you know, but he's his whole like, so even there makes his identity crisis even worse, because he's like, well, what am I? Am I a freak? You know. So he tags onto that whole thing, and of course he's conflicted about his sister, but she also is as well. Like, she clearly wants to fuck him.
Yeah.
You know. And it's like, oh god, it's strange. But Diego, number 2.
Yeah.
He's. Is it Oedipal?
I think it is.
Do you think?
He's obsessed.
Is it just because she was the only one who really, like, helped him?
Possibly, but
you know?
still.
Because I don't know if we've got because on that subject, because I've been really into Shakespeare at the minute, funnily enough, and I've been trying to read Hamlet recently, and I've been watching videos of it being performed, and I've been I watched a video of this literary critic called Harold Bloom, who's very famous and very controversial because of his opinions and stuff. He actually called Harry Potter schlock. He said that if young people are reading Harry Potter and that's their gateway into reading, then God help them. Because it's not reading. They're just reading an endless string of cliches, and I was like, oh, fucking hell. Oh, okay. And I've not read Harry Potter, so I wouldn't know. But I think you have you?
No. Partner has, because there's a shelf somewhere
next to the bookshelf beside us. That all of them are there, I believe.
Because she grew up with them.
Yeah.
Again, it's something for her heart. I mean, to be fair, her gateway, she's got all this. There's like Discworld's there, fucking Lord of the Rings is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of her fantasy stuff, but yeah.
And he
the films are fine.
Oh yeah, and he fucking adores Shakespeare. He absolutely adores Shakespeare. This Harold Bloom, and he's wrote several books over his years, and he wrote one book called Shakespeare: The Invention of the Human, because he argues that no other writer, both in Western and Eastern culture, has understood the complexities of the human being more than Shakespeare. And Shakespeare loads it into his work. And he said Hamlet is the perfect example of that. And he said Hamlet is just an incredible character, an incredible work. And then he mentions, and they talked about like the whole his relationship with his mother. And he was like, I don't think it's Oedipal at all. I don't think, because like the big argument in Hamlet is that because Hamlet is raging at his mother.
Yeah.
Because his mother, if you've seen Lion King, you've basically seen Hamlet, an abridged version of it anyway. It's like his mother immediately marries his uncle Claudius, who killed his father. If everything is to be believed, and he's raging, he's absolutely raging at his mother, and the big argument is that the reason why he is because he subconsciously wants to fuck his mother. That's why he's so angry at her. But Bloom was like, I honestly don't think it is. I think it's like, it really is that thing of like, he's just angry that his dad has been killed and no one seems to give a damn. Other than him, more so than his mother. He calls her an incestuous hag or something like that. And it's like, because she technically is, in a sense.
Yeah.
Fucking a brother-in-law. And she's like, what have I done? He's like, you don't care. He's like, he said, frailty thy name is woman. He's vicious. He's vicious to his mother. And then the final way when his mother like basically more or less kills herself accidentally, or I don't know, I'll have to read it again. And the last thing he says to her is like, wretched queen, adieu.
Yeah.
As if to say, so much for you, sweetheart. I don't give a fuck. There's no remorse there whatsoever. He's glad she's dead. He hates her. He hates her for what she's done. And I personally agree. I don't see any evidence of, Oedipal, like desire there. I just think it's pure contempt. And with this one, and with Diego, I struggle to see anything Oedipal there. I mean, they all call her mother. They all call her mom because, for all intents and purposes, she was. And there's that lovely scene where, and Diego very much has a similar complex to Luther in the sense of, he so desperately wants to be a hero.
Yeah.
Whereas Luther wants to be a leader. Diego so desperately wants to be a hero, which is why, like, 5 perfectly describes him in season 2. He's like, who's Luther? What that guy says, and he's like, imagine Batman, but not as good. It's like, yeah, that is what Luther is. He so desperately wants to be Batman. That sort of that really cool, edgy vigilante character. And for the most part, he is. I mean, he does that when you first see him in his introduction. He is that. He's stopping a house mugging or a house invasion or whatever. But that's indicative of it, though. It's like, it's small scale, he comes out in his black attire and his mask and, his knives and shit, and it's like, but he so desperately wants to be that, and he's so sure of himself, he so desperately wants to be that hero, so he throws himself into it. But it's all to overcome, again, with a lot of these characters, that self-insecurity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, I think... they struggle to live up to what they're meant to be, and it's like they throw themselves into vices to sort of like very much with Klaus, but we'll get onto that. He has a stammer.
Yeah.
Diego has a stammer, and there's that.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's that beautiful scene where the mother, who is a robot, let's remember. Yeah. She says, just one word at a time. Just calm down and just focus on one word at a time, and you'll be fine. And that's what he holds on to. And I think that's why out of all of them, I think he loved her the most, because she, more so than any other character, she helped Diego the most, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that he sort of holds on to, and which is why it affected him the most.
Yeah.
And I don't think, because I understand the argument.
Yeah.
Because that
keep saying
be...
yeah.
Sorry?
I keep saying yeah to everything. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I read it as a bit like that, but yeah, I can understand saying no, but I could just say it because it's just fun to say it.
It is fun to say. I don't know. I think we have an unhealthy obsession as a society, saying that whenever we do like the mother son relationship thing, I think we're always so quick to call it Oedipal, and it's like I don't always think it is, I don't think this is. I don't know. I could be wrong.
It's rushing out the first motherfucker joke.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. But I don't think it is. And then of course when he calls him out for being, and in season 2, of course, when Hargreaves is like, you so desperately want to be a hero, but you don't know what you're doing and stuff, and his stammer immediately comes back because he's been called out because he's insecure. Do you have a favorite character?
Klaus, yeah. I think Diego a lot more in the second season, because both of them are just no brain cell between them.
Yeah, I know it's been said, but I love that their relationship sort of blossoms as this whole thing goes on.
Five is fantastic.
5 is incredible. He is such a good character.
Go to 5 next then, since we're talking about the characters.
Yeah, 5 is so like, holy shit, man! Like, what a character.
That actor's not done anything major apart from this.
That's such a shame. Well, I hope he.
Well, he's only young, so.
Well, he is. He's what? He's only like, he can't be any more than like 14, 15.
When he started that, yeah. Now he's like 18, 20. He's getting to.
Yeah, he's actually growing up.
Yeah,
for sure. It's like this Stranger Things thing.
Yeah.
I think 5 is one of the most compelling characters I think I've seen recently in like these sort of like fictional shows, and it's like because it's like. He pulls off that whole thing of like, he is like a 60-odd-year-old man.
Yeah, you forget he's a child.
You do forget he's a child. You do. It's like, apart from the odd reminders that like he is a child. I mean, it's like, and here's a guy who is so like, he shares that arrogance that his father has.
Yeah. Which
is why I think the two of them got on so well. You see in the second season and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to see where that's going to go. But that whole thing of like, he's driven by that whole. Again, these characters are all driven, especially the male characters. There's the 3 of them: Diego, Luther, and 5. They're all driven by this desperate need to be heroes, even though that 5 wouldn't really admit it. Like, because he sees the apocalypse.
Yeah, he wants to save the world.
And he wants to save the world. And that's it. That's all he's driven by, really. And he has to save the world. And that and his beloved Dolores.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a fucking, he's insane.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the thing. He's insane. He's in love with a shop window dummy.
Because he grew up from being like, 14 to like old man?
Yeah.
By himself?
By himself, exactly. Like, which is, oh, God, that's crazy, actually, when you think about it. Like,
I mean, then he finally gets the time travel, but I don't think he's with the time travel people that long.
No, I mean, he becomes an assassin for them.
Yeah.
In time, because he obviously can jump through time and stuff, and then you see that montage did annoy me a little bit, because I was like, it doesn't look that great, because it was just him doing this, like shooting a gun.
Yeah.
And with a big green screen behind him. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I could have done a bit better than that, but whatever. And then the Kennedy assassination comes in. I was like, wow, this is really my thing, because Lee'll know this, but like anyone who knows anything about me, that's one of my favorite topics in history. I'm fascinated by the Kennedy assassination. I think it's endlessly interesting, and as I say, fascinating. Was he the gunman on the grassy knoll? It's fascinating. And then of course when he makes that jump to come back and comes back to being to being a child, it's like that's such another interesting take on time travel.
Yeah.
Because it's like they could have quite easily like done that thing of Five's come back, but he's an old man. What the hell happened?
Or at the same age they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Age, but no, he comes back when he left.
Yeah, he comes back. His mind is still there, but he got it wrong. Where his body went back in time.
Yeah.
But not his mind, not his consciousness, which I found so an interesting way to do it. And just that whole dynamic of him just, you forget he's a child because he's a ruthless killer.
Yeah.
The shit he does is like quite extreme, really, when you think about it. And it was just so fun to watch, and I just loved it because obviously in the book. He's induced with like the DNA of several serial killers. That's why he's like so good at killing. And I'm not sure that's explored in the show. I mean, it might be.
Don't think it is.
No.
Doesn't ring a bell.
And his relationship with the villain as well. Like, what's her name? The character.
Oh. It's something like commissioner. It's not like a commissioner thing. I can't remember.
Yeah, but she like sort of runs like the time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
The DVA. It's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
The time police.
Yeah. I forgot her name now, but yeah, she's like proper obsessed.
I think now if you want to talk about weird relationships, there is something. Yeah. I think that she fancies Five.
Yeah.
Very clear. There's very clearly a tension, a sexual tension between the two of them, because why they just kill each other?
Yeah.
But they won't. They won't do it, And I found that really interesting. And it's just it is that thing of like, if you take away that thing of like you've got to save the world, what is Five's purpose? But I'm really fascinated to see where it's going to go, because I'm kind of seeing that now. It's like, even though that like they're doing the whole thing of like, we've got to save the apocalypse again.
Yeah.
Stop the apocalypse.
It's time to get the band back together again. Yeah. Apocalypse happened
back in the 60s, baby. But he says actually in season 2, after he kills all of the board members of the commission, the time police or whatever, he says, "I'm done. All this killing, I think I'm done." And I was like, wow, shit. It's like, where is his character gonna go? That'll be really interesting to see. Klaus, I just want to pick up, give him a big cuddle, and just say it's okay. Because Jesus, that guy is like tortured, isn't he?
Yeah.
Really. I mean, and it's like, when I was watching this, and I was like, when you realize, when you find out what Klaus's powers are, that he can talk and commune with the dead, and basically conjure the dead as well, as he learns that he can do later on. That's another thing as well. The development of their understanding of their abilities is quite interesting, because
that's the reason why he got blackout drunk all the time, because he didn't want to hear the dead.
He doesn't want to hear the dead. Exactly. It's like, of course he would be a drunk and a drug addict, because he wants to block it all out. He wants to distract himself. Of course he would. Especially what happened to him as a child. He was locked in a bloody like dungeon, basically.
What they're called? Like crypt kind.
Yeah, he was locked in a crypt until he could get used to
seeing the
dead, which is horrible. It's like, and again, we'll get onto Hargreaves in a bit. I mean, but like, I don't know. It's like it's do you think that's why like Klaus took so long to sort of learn how to use his powers?
Yeah, because he just got blackout drunk, drugged up, didn't want to do anything with his powers.
Yeah.
The only one that seemed to come through was Ben.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. We don't know how. Do we ever find out how Ben dies?
I think could his power not do something to him? Because his power's like summon eldritch horrors. I think it might kill him.
Right.
I think his powers got too much from him, and I think it just destroyed him.
Just destroyed him.
If I remember correctly, I might be making this up.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because when I was watching the video summary of the history of the comic book, it even says in that, it's like when we're introduced to Ben, like Ben is dead, but we never find out what killed Ben.
It might just be a fan theory.
It might just, well, who knows exactly that. But I find that so, because when you're introduced to Ben,
he's upset about using his powers as well when you see them doing the bank heist.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want to use his powers.
Yeah.
And is that because it physically harms him, or is it because
it scares the shit out of him?
It scares the shit out of him. He just doesn't like doing it.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, you know. And it's like, you know, I found it so fast because when you're introduced to Ben, Ben is a ghost. Ben's dead.
Yeah.
You know,
and the cool thing is he's grown up. He's grown up with Klaus.
He's grown up with Klaus. He's gotten older, which is really interesting. But it's like he, you know, he's this like this supporting voice to Klaus.
Yeah, he's the conscience.
He's the conscience. Yeah, he's the Jiminy Cricket thing. He's such a pleasant character despite what he can do. From what I've seen of him so far, anyway. And it's like just him and Klaus like learning that they can do what they can do in this new state of being dead. I found such a joy to watch. I think out of everyone, Klaus actually has the best, for me, the best character development so far, because he is like really trying hard to be somebody, you know, to be like a useful, you know, good person, because he spent the majority of his life just being a drunk and just being a drug addict and just being a waste of space, basically.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really have a nice power, really. I mean, if you were able to commune with the dead, would you really enjoy that?
No. Imagine him telling people how they died, and like you'd just be like, "Fuck, man."
Yeah, I know exactly. Oh, just shut up. You know what I mean? Like, and because even that bit where he's being tortured by oh god, what are they called? The two assassins.
Fuck! They were in my head earlier, and they've gone now.
Yeah.
With dog heads.
Yeah. What are they called? I can't remember. Was it Coco? Or something like that? It's on the floor. I can't remember what they're called. Char Char.
Yeah,
Char Char. Char Char and what the other ones? I don't know. But like, even when he's getting tortured by them, he quite enjoys it, you know, because he's gone through a lot of shit, you know. So it's like physically harming him. It's probably the least effective thing you could do, you know.
Hazel and Char Char.
Hazel and Char Char. There we are. And even when the water bored him, he just drinks the water, and he's like, oh, that was lovely. I was very parched, and I thought that's great, you know. And he's hearing the voices of all these dead people, like of how they killed him and all that, and how they were killed by Char Char and Hazel. And that'd be really horrible if you could, like, we're constantly haunted by the voices of the dead, you know.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's just, and when he learns that he can conjure Ben in that final battle, and like, you know, and Ben, you know, just rips the shit out of everything. You know, I found that so interesting. But like you never. But I actually quite liked that you don't find out how Ben dies. Keep it
mysterious.
Keep it mysterious. It's like, well, you know, it's you know, they know.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily
need to know,
really. Unless I don't know. But it's like, but yeah, we don't ever find out really how Ben dies. All we know is that he is dead. You know, and it's
one of the things that tore them apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Originally,
It will have been one of those things that tore them apart, absolutely, and that is what makes it even more tragic, really. And I think, do you think it's a particularly sad, like story or concept? You know what I mean? It's like,
they get adopted, all brought up together, be these superheroes. One of them die, and all of them just think like this. Well, most of them think it's not really worth.
Yeah.
And that's when they start to split off to do their own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. Do you think Hargreaves loved them in his own way?
Yes and no. Because I've seen more than you, really, so I can't really say much.
Can't say much. But from based on
the like first season, not really. Kind of felt like it means to an end. Which he never really used properly.
No, because it kind of fails, didn't it? Really, in a sense. I mean, there's that really cool bit where Klaus is dead for a bit.
Yeah.
And he communicates with he talks to his dad, And he's just frank with him. He's just like, well, we're just kids, And he's just like, and his dad obviously gives that thing of like, everything I did for your benefit. So it's like, it is that kind of twisted, ill-fitting love, where it's like, maybe he did like see he had the best intentions for them. Ultimately, he wanted them to be super. He wanted them to be great and use their powers to the best of their ability and stuff like that. But it's like, all it did was really made them resent him, And it's like, it was just that wonderful like Professor X thing of like, because there's bits in the comics obviously where Professor X does things where you think that's really morally repugnant.
Yeah.
But he did it for the benefit of for the ultimate good, and it's that
the greater good.
The greater good.
The greater good.
Yeah, it's that argument though, isn't it? I love those philosophical, utilitarian, arguments of like, or the deontological view of like, does the end justify the means?
Yeah.
And it's like that debate in Watchmen. Comes back to Watchmen all the time. Oh, that and Zack Snyder. It's that whole thing of Ozymandias, what he does, what Adrian Veidt does when he tricks the world into thinking that, aliens have attacked and they've killed half of New York, and that stops the war, and he creates world peace. He accomplished what he set out to do. He, quote unquote, saved the world, but at what cost?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the same. And of course, he was like, the ends justify the means. You've got to do whatever's necessary, however awful it is. And then you get on the other argument, Rorschach, who's like, see the world in black and white. No, what you've done is evil, and that's it.
I mean, to be fair, all he can see is black and white because his fucking mask's black and white.
That's why. Hey, there you go. See, it reflects his worldview.
Changes colour on his eyes, like, shit, it's black now.
Shit, what? God, everything's so complex. But it's, I think, it's a similar thing like that in Umbrella Academy, which, I mean, to be fair, it's not surprising that Gerard Way will put that in because he's a massive fan of Watchmen. Like, I think it's his favourite graphic novel. But it's like, with characters like Hargreaves, I mean, it's like, that, which is what makes them fascinating characters, because it's like, does that kind of behaviour ultimately justify the means? But then you look at it and you think, well, maybe not, because these are really damaged characters. They're really damaged people. It's like,
Gotta love morally grey people. Makes you think.
Yeah. It does make you think. It's why did he send Luther to the moon? For no reason? It's like, that's what it feels like. I mean, I'm sure that's not the case as this thing goes on. But, no, I mean, Vanya.
No, because they're Vanya.
Oh, and
Allison
and Vanya, yeah. Allison, she is such a refreshing character, because, I mean, when she starts out, you're not really sure if you like her.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm kind of indifferent to her, really. But then as it goes on, she is like the moral compass. Like, so, like, she really becomes, in some ways, like the mother figure.
Yeah.
Of the group,
And has a lot of tragedy as well.
Oh, so much tragedy.
Because, like, if I remember correctly, she rumours a kid to help her out, and the dad sees, and he's like, have you just been doing this all the time? Like,
yeah, it's to...
having the power to manipulate someone must be fucking horrible.
God, I know, really. I mean...
Someone accused you, like, I didn't fucking do it.
I didn't do it. And that's... I think you've hit the nail on the head there, really, because it's like... I think that's the show's biggest strength, is that it asks the question, if you had these powers, if you were like a superpowered being, would it really be any good?
Yeah.
Would your life really be any good? It's like...
everyone... Let's go on.
No, go on.
So say, because don't stop questioning now, so like, how she became this famous and stuff like this, is because she was good at acting, or because she rumored everyone?
Because she just used manipulation powers.
Yeah.
She used her mind control powers. Well, in the book, it's like the powers she has. The powers she can rumor things into. It's not necessarily mind control. It's whatever she says. I heard a rumor about this and that. They will then. It will come into being.
Yeah.
So whatever she says will come into being, which is an immensely powerful ability, really. But it comes across as mind control, because in the show, so like when she does things like, I heard a rumor that you were very tired and you'll go to sleep, just to put a kid to sleep, and you do think, I mean, it seems harmless on the surface, but when you do look at it, it's like, did you just do that to make me love you?
Yeah, it's like, did you do all this stuff for is this real? Kind of.
Exactly. And that's when it becomes mental.
Yeah.
Because it's like she will have done that just to make herself famous. Really, to give herself the life that she wanted, you know?
I can't remember. No, I don't think you got this far in My Hero Academia. But there is a guy whose powers like manipulating people like that. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh, you're going to become a bad guy because it's kind of a bad guy power. And
it's like the Purple Man, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
just
like Kilgrave. And
yeah, it's just like, no, I want to be a hero.
Yeah.
But he's got a power which is normally seen as like being
quite
bad because it's manipulative.
Yeah. And like I say, it's like it's like that power. It's like Kilgrave. It's like the Purple Man in Jessica Jones. It's like whatever he says will happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's and you know, but he revels in it. He revels in that, like, that evil hedonistic.
Oh yeah, it's a great power to be evil with.
Oh yeah, exactly. You can get like basically anything you want, really.
Yeah.
And it's you know, but that's why I think that's the thing. It's like if you're just a naturally evil person, then it's great for you. You know, you'll revel in like that hedonistic, evil sort of sensibility, and but if you're genuinely a good person, that is gonna cause you such moral turmoil.
Yeah.
You know, and it does do that to Allison. She barely uses her power, really, because I think she's aware of how powerful it really is, you know, and how destructive it could be, you know, and it's you know, that's why she got a kid taken off her, because it's like, you know, you're not surprised. It's like, it's manipulation. It's like, you know, making people do things against their will.
Yeah.
It's not good. Really, you know, it's not it's not good. It's not a good thing to do, you know, and it's like, you know. And you know, it does raise those questions.
It's a tragic power.
It is such a tragic power. And what I loved in season 2 is like when she gets married and when she forges this life, it's all by doing it without using her powers.
Yeah.
And that's why she's like, no, it feels good to earn these things, to do these things just by working, just by earning it, you know, just by doing it, you know, and I you know, that's one good thing that she learns as a character, you know, but it is, oh God, it's so, I mean, especially when she's asked, you know, to brainwash Vanya into believing that that they don't have any powers.
Yeah.
You know?
Which again,
Vanya, bloody hell, like that is
whole life believing that they don't have any powers, they're useless.
I know.
Nope, they're the most powerful fucking one.
They are the most, literally, because what even is Vanya's powers, really? Like
just really destructive.
Just destructive bursts of energy, basically. Yeah, like
to summon down like.
I can't even describe it, really. It's just like big bursts of energy, really, that can like just destroy the shit out of stuff.
It destroyed the world.
Basically, which is what happens, really, you know, which is obviously why, and again, it's that similar
Phoenix kind of
Phoenix power. Exactly, it's that plot line of the Phoenix, of Dark Phoenix and stuff. It's like, because I mean, obviously in the film versions, it's like, it's not so much in the comics, but maybe, I don't know, Professor X knew that Jean had this potentially massive destructive force inside her, and as it started to manifest itself, he blocked it, he suppressed it, he imprisoned it in our mind, and of course in doing that, you know, it's like there's that scene in X, because that's the thing about X and the Last Stand. It's I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I kind of have a soft spot for it because while it's not the best film, it's certainly not as bad as people make it out to be. I don't think, anyway.
But it's been a while since I've seen it.
I honestly, I would say give it another chance.
All I can remember is Vin Diesel saying, oh, not Vin Diesel, Vinnie Jones saying,
I'm the juggernaut, bitch! Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's those stupid bits like that.
Which, again, Kitty Pryde was fucking...
Elliot Page.
Yeah, Elliot Page.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, you know, it crosses over. But it's like Elliot Page is so good in that movie. Like that's the thing about that movie. It's like the casting is great. Like Kelsey Grammer as the Beast,
top notch.
Holy shit! Like that has to be in the top 5 comic book casting. Perfect, just absolutely perfect. You know, and
I know we had James McAvoy, but fucking thingy is Professor X is fantastic. Patrick Stewart,
perfect again. Yeah, perfect. And there's that scene where they recover Jean, and Jean and Professor X has to explain basically what all this is about.
Yeah.
And he says like, I suppressed her, and of course Logan's like, what did you do to her? And he's like, look, you have to understand. This was an extreme situation. He was like, we're talking about a person's mind here, about Jean. He was like, she needs to be controlled. And he's like, controlled?
You sound like them.
Yeah, and he's like, and he's like, I had no idea what you were capable. He says, you've got no idea of what she's capable of. He's like, no, I had no idea what you were capable of. And Professor X just goes like, which is what makes it so good. It's like, he's like, I chose the lesser of two evils, and I should not have, and I don't have to explain myself, least of all to you. You know, and it's like, you know, he's seen some shit. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, what he did, was it moral? No, probably not. But you know. Look what happened, you know, and of course...
Great.
Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, and of course then Magneto gets his hands on her. He's like, he encourages her to give in to this personality, because he's like, that is who she is naturally.
Yeah.
And he's right, but, you know, look what happens, you know. It's like, sometimes do these things need to be controlled.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Morally grey area.
Makes you think.
It makes you think, exactly. And it's the same thing with this. It's like, you know, it's like...
Vanya was controlled.
Exactly. It's like, that is who Vanya actually is. Vanya actually is this immensely powerful being with a bit of a mean streak.
Nothing's really, like, ironic funny. Just this popped in my head. So, you know, that happens in season 3. Vanya becomes Victor because... Elliot transitioned and they wrote that in.
Oh yeah. So because like there's just a passing line to it, isn't there?
Yeah, like Vanya just a boy named Victor, and it's like, alright, cool. But it's worked really well. You'll see when you get towards it.
Yeah, I mean, because like Jamie was talking about that, and he said like it works. It does work. He said he found it very odd that there is just that passing reference to it.
It's because when Elliot transitioned, the writer was like, you know what, I can do this. I can just write this in.
I can just write it in. I mean, oh yeah, I mean, it doesn't...
But what I was going for, Vanya's supposedly a boy's name. The irony of it.
Really? Oh, well, I did not know that.
Vanya and, I forgot, is it Vanya from Russia originally? I
think so.
Somewhere around there, but apparently Vanya's a boy's name, which is ironic for all this stuff happening.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, it's like, you know... but to brainwash, I mean, to make Vanya forget that they don't have any powers.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, they're understandably really messed up about that, and like, it's interesting to see that some character like Luther is all like, no, she needs to be controlled.
Yeah. You
know, and other characters are like Klaus and everything. It's like, no, we need to let her out. It's not humane. You know, and it's like. And of course, Allison's like, it's not her fault. She's been, and there is an argument there. It's like, maybe this isn't Vanya's fault because they've been so manipulated and just told that they're not special, and then all of a sudden to realize, oh no, you are special. In fact, you're so special to the point
we've had to take away
what makes you special. Exactly, like, because it's so dangerous, and you know, so it's no wonder they turn evil by the end of season 1. You know, And then, of course, they can't remember again by the end of season 2, which, season 2. It's so, like, the 60s, so fun. You know what I mean? It's so fun.
60s was fun.
So fun, man. Even, you know, like, I mean, obviously, and just to see...
Assassinations, segregations.
Oh, great. You know, it's so good. You know? But it's like, you know, like, just seeing Allison deal with the very real, you know, like, that's what it was for black people back then, you know? That's what it was like, you know? It was really, really tough. and to see her deal with that and not use her powers.
Yeah.
Because it asks that question of, she does have those powers to make. She could easily just.
She could change all the bigots' mind.
She could easily just make people just make all the bigots just accept black people.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
it's not really doing it then, is it? You know what I mean? Because it's like it's not really making accepting people. And again, to bring in those X-Men parallels.
Civil rights movement. That's all the whole parallel
well,
is about.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's the whole thing was about. Yeah, you're right. It was a parallel for the civil rights movement. But there's that wonderful scene in X-Men 2 where Nightcrawler goes up to Mystique and he says that they say that you can imitate anybody, even their voice. And then he goes, even their voice, and then Mystique goes, even their voice. But then he goes, so why not stay in disguise all the time? Why not look like everybody else?
Yeah.
And she says, because we shouldn't have to. And she's right, and it's like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's like, she shouldn't have to do that. She shouldn't have to use her powers to make everybody accept her.
Well, it's New Class where she's like, posing on the bed. He's like, change your real form. No, your real form.
Mm-hmm.
Perfection.
Yeah, perfection. Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's... Here you are, and again, like to tie in with X-Men things, like that's what makes Magneto and that's what makes it such a compelling thing, because it's like Magneto, yes, he's a villain because he does
villainous things.
He does villainous things,
but he saw the worst in humanity,
but you can understand it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you were in the Nazi concentration camps,
he was treated as a lesser before he had powers.
Exactly. So and. So you can
rightfully angry.
You can understand exactly where he's coming from, and the stuff that he says to mutants.
That's what makes Magneto a good villain.
Exactly, that's what makes him a great villain, because it's like you're conflicted on how you feel about him, because the stuff that he says to these people who are truly oppressed. No more hiding. He's like, don't be ashamed of who you are. Be proud of who you are. And. What you are is not a monstrosity. It's not a horrible thing. It's a wonderful thing. That's a great thing to tell them. But it's the whole thing about him, and that's what makes him a compelling villain, because it's like he's no better than, because the stuff that he says is like, we are the next step in human evolution.
We are better than them.
We are better than them. And it's like you've kind of become what you hated.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that's what makes him so compelling.
Yeah.
Because he can't see that. He can't understand that.
Because then again, they've got powers that actually got something superior at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not like just went, we're just born different.
Yeah, exactly. And but Professor X that's what makes him so compelling. He's like, no, I mean, we're just different.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have to learn to coexist with these people. And I've seen that, actually. I mean, it's like, I remember, I think I told you last time about, that guy, that black musician who converts Ku Klux Klan members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chats with them and
and just gets them to abandon their bigotry and their hatred. And he says, obviously it doesn't always work, but for the most part it does. He says, because you'll be amazed at what you can get out of a bigot just by talking to them. You'll be amazed. But he said in a documentary that he did, he said he got a lot of backlash from the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
Because he spoke to two of those activists, and he and they were saying, like, why would you waste your time talking to people who hate you? You should be spending more of your time actually helping the people who are oppressed. Why would you bother doing this? Your friends were racists and stuff. And he was like, they are our fellow Americans. They are our fellow human. He said, look, whether you like it or not, we share this planet with them. And the only way that you're going to get them to stop hating us is if you just talk to them, And they were like, no, it's a waste of time. And I was so reminded of, it's the same thing. It's like, it's the Professor X versus Magneto argument. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that like it's
you're not saying you can talk to every bigot and they'll change their mind.
I'm not saying that you can talk to every bigot and you can change their mind, and I'm also not saying that people in Black Lives Matter are like Magneto. They're going to go out and kill all white people. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that there are parallels between those two worldviews. You know, the people who are like really extreme in saying that like no, well, you know, let's really like uprise and defend ourselves against people who will never accept us. And it's like, and then you got the other argument of like the only way that you'll change people's minds is if you talk to them. And you know, I you know, it's the same thing with that whole thing. And so when you bring it back to Umbrella Academy, it's like, it's that thing of like, that's why Allison doesn't use her powers, because it would be easy to do that. She would rather actually try and convince these people that, you know, that they are just human beings.
Yeah.
And it's nothing more than that, you know. So that's it. But then, of course, when she does give in to that sort of thing about when she reveals that she can do these powers, and I love how her husband just believes her. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
fair? Yeah,
which is fair enough. You know, it's like I love him as well. He's such a great character.
Yeah,
he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, supporting cast in this is great.
The supporting cast is great. I felt really sorry for the conspiracy guy. You know, when he got killed by the three Swedes.
Yeah.
You know,
and 3 Swedes.
Just 3 Swedes. That's what they are, isn't it? You know, like because when they appeared, I was like, it's the 3 Swedes, you know, and they're interesting because I feel like they're trying to fill the void of Cha Cha and Hazel.
Yeah,
they're not as interesting.
No.
And I don't know if that's a conscious choice, or you know, or if they really are just inconsequential. I mean, it was interesting when one of them did get killed, and then they gave them like a Viking-style funeral.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the only bit of emotion that you've seen from these characters, which again I found really interesting. And that's where I'm up to at the minute, in the story.
There's some banger line around about then. I can't remember what it is. It's something Diego and Five say together when they're investigating some like something around there, and I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, kill me.
I know, but that's another thing as well. Like Diego is going through quite a journey in this one, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because obviously he's regarded as an insane man. Like they find him in like a mental asylum. But of course he's like, I know what the apocalypse is. It's got to have something to do with the Kennedy assassination. We need to kill Lee Harvey Oswald. You know. It's like, you know, and he's always going hunting Lee Harvey Oswald, which I love. Great. But it's like it's crazy. It's this whole thing of and I can't wait for that to come into more play. And then even Hargreaves is the Umbrella Man.
Yeah.
You know, obviously that infamous character in the actual Kennedy assassination who put up his umbrella, who is a fascinating figure for loads of conspiracy people. It's like, why would a man put up an umbrella in the middle of the day? On quite a pleasant day as well. You know, was he signaling someone? Was he doing whatever? Who knows? We don't know.
Might just hit the light.
Or he might have just been keeping the sun off him. You know,
umbrellas were used for at one point.
True. Yeah, it's what a lot of them are still used for. Yeah. Really. You know, it's you know, it's interesting. I can't wait to see what that does next. But I'll tell you what, man, the music.
Oh God, yeah.
The music is so good. You know, I thoroughly enjoy. I mean, because that scene in the first episode, I think,
is when they all start dancing.
When they all just start dancing to "I Think We're Alone Now," you know, by Tiffany, and I was like, this is brilliant. You know what I mean? It's like, because, and again, it's like those moments where you see their personalities coming out. You know, and it's you know, that it isn't that they do have like a fun side to them. You know, they do actually enjoy their life despite the misery. And, you know, Klaus clearly giving in to becoming a cult leader.
Yeah.
Because of course he would be. You know, of course he would be a cult leader in the 60s. You know, like, and it was quite... it was a little bit reminiscent... Now that I think about it, it's a little bit reminiscent of the Charles Manson thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's slightly Charles Manson-y, which I quite enjoy. I find that quite fun. You know, yeah, I just found that really quite fun. You know, it's like, because, yeah, why not? Why not make him a Charles Manson-esque figure, you know? But the music is great.
Yeah.
In the the 60s music, but also like the a lot of the music that they chose to use in the the opening, that Phantom of the Opera violin piece with it like crossed with like the rock instrumentation, fantastic. Because like I was working out what it was, I was like, oh, it's Phantom of the Opera, shit, and even then it goes into Music of the Night and all that sort of stuff. It's great. It's so good. And of course the betrayal with the villain's daughter, who was having a bit of a fling with Diego. I can't wait to see where that goes. That's. I
can't wait to watch more.
I am so eager to watch more. I honestly can't. But no, all in all, I think it's a. Oh my god, Vanya's relationship with the woman. Good lord. I mean, actually, their relationship with those two people.
Yeah.
The real villain of season 1.
Yeah, the guy.
That guy, yeah. Well, he was a pathetic character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really hell, honestly. Because obviously when you first see him, you're like, he's dodgy, isn't he? You know what I mean? And then, of course, he's very dodgy. Like, did a few years for killing his dad.
Yeah. Rejected.
I realised, do you know who he is? He's Syndrome.
Yeah.
He's fucking Syndrome. From The Incredibles. It's that same arc.
Get rejected and become the villain.
Yeah, exactly. And and then he creates an even bigger villain.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed his death. It was quite satisfying. But he was doing the classic abusive boyfriend, gaslighting thing, and unfortunately, I mean, he wasn't wrong, I suppose. I mean, what he did, obviously, horrible and wrong. Don't gaslight people. It's not nice.
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Yeah, don't do any of it. It's not good. Was he wrong? Not really. I mean, it's like, they did manipulate Vanya. They did brainwash her into thinking that they had no powers.
Yeah.
And Allison was about to do it again before she. I thought Allison was. I thought that was it.
Yeah.
I thought, fuck. They've killed her off.
And slash the throat.
I was like, there's no way you're recovering from that. And yet she did. I was like, and then the mother was all like, well, it's a good thing it was just the fucking vocal cords that were slashed. That was lucky, wasn't it? I was like, okay. And Pogo.
Yeah, Pogo.
Pogo's great. Pogo's gets killed.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as that? Don't. Well, okay. I was gonna say. Yeah. I'll not ask anything.
If you have
more.
some questions, I'm gonna say shit.
Okay. I'll not ask. I'll not say anything more. But I enjoyed seeing the origins of Pogo.
Yeah.
Like in the beginnings of in season 2. How he's basically training Pogo how to become an intelligent sentient being. I felt like there was something sinister going on with Pogo in season 1. It's like the children must not know, and I'm like, oh. And I still feel like, and I don't know unless I missed it. I'm not still. Was it about like the manipulation of?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, it probably was. Which is unfortunate. You do see those glimpses of sinisterness from Pogo, and I'm interested to see how that's gonna go. If we are gonna, but no, the relationship that Vanya has with that woman.
Yeah.
God, that's really. I mean, because initially. I didn't really see it coming, and then as it went on, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is what it's gonna be."
Yeah.
And it's so tragic. It's because that's the thing with season 2. It seems to be dealing with, a lot of sensitive subjects about people who are quite, oppressed in society.
Yeah, does a lot of bigotry. You've got like gay bigotry, race bigotry.
Yeah, it deals with all of the isms. Do
yeah.
You know what I mean? It deals with all of that. So that seems to be like the big underlying theme against the main plot. And it's like, I suppose if you want to deal with those issues, I suppose no better place to do it than the 60s, where it really was, I think more so than most times, it was the general belief.
Yeah.
More or less anyway, and it's like, it's even the husband of that woman, he obviously is homophobic.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be happy if my wife was getting off of the nanny. But I think I could be angry about it without being homophobic.
Yeah,
I suppose.
But it's the typical 60s, like...
It's like...
the wife come back from work, beat my wife, and makes me food.
Yeah, it's like, you got a disease. Yeah. It's like, you got that homophobic disease. You got the homo disease, or whatever it is. And, it deals with all of that, And so I'm interested to see how that goes. And, like, Vanya's like, the way I am is not a disease. And it's like, they're dealing with it, man, you know what I mean? It's, but Vanya's such an interesting character, because they... And again, they kind of just accept that this is who I am, and I'm from this weird, freaky family, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and I think it's a wonderful show, ultimately about what it really means to be
family.
A family, yeah. It's to quote Vin Diesel. And,
that's all I thought it was family.
Yeah, it's family. It's all for family. Yeah, it's like what it means to really be a family, and also feeling isolated within a family, and not like knowing really who you are, dealing with every insecurity you could possibly have.
Yeah.
Dealing with really stuff that'll fuck you up mentally, purpose. Being as I said, being an outsider, but like within your own family, but really learning how to be a family underneath all of those hardships, and how we deal with trauma as well. And I think it does it beautifully, because while it is ultimately a fun romp of an action, adventure.
Comic booky
superhero show. Yeah. It does that wonderfully, by the way. It does that so well. But when it needs to be something serious, and showing you the underlying themes of what the story is about, what the story really is, it does it beautifully. And I think it knows exactly when to go down, and knows exactly when to come up. Because again, and I think it perfectly exemplifies that with Allison. Is while a lot of them actually were quite comfortable with what their new lives in the 60s before they all find each other again.
Yeah.
I think no more so than Allison. I mean, despite the fact that, she has to deal with, obviously, the bigotry of the time and, and like getting... But, she's gotten used to her life without using her powers. She got used to this community that she was in. She got used to raising, having a new life with her husband.
Yeah.
And when 5 comes along, and when Luther comes along and says, we've got another chance to save the world again and get back to where the actual time we're from, Allison's conflicted.
Yeah.
Because she's like...
She's made a new life.
Yeah. Because she's like, oh, obviously I want to go and see my daughter again. I'd give anything to see my daughter again. But I've made a new life, and and I actually really like this life. I feel fulfilled. I feel accepted. I feel, like I've earned this life, because this is the life that she earned. This isn't because her other life she did using her powers, and all this sort of stuff, and that now might feel unwarranted for her, and it's like this is what it really means to create a life for herself and stuff. So it portrays that beautifully, and I'm really excited to see where it's going to go next. And how the Kennedy assassination ties into it and all and stuff. It's such a clever, wonderful idea just to set it in, it's just different and creative. I loved it. It's the kind of thing that I would really love to make.
Which I'm surprised you never watched straight away.
I know, I'm surprised as well. So ultimately, I love it.
You're going to continue watching
I'm going to continue watching it. I can't wait.
But when you catch up, you're going to have to wait for the last season. Cause
yeah.
It's not out yet.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can talk about that probably. But no, I would thoroughly recommend it.
Oh yeah.
If you're a fan of Gerard Way and you want to see what he gets up to beyond his music career, this is a good way to get into it and then get into the books. If you're a fan of comic book stuff in general, I think you'll love this. But if you're a fan specifically of X-Men,
yeah,
if you want to see X-Men being done in a different way, or a similar kind of thing, I think this will be really up your alley. And it's just really fun. And the characters are great, and it's just great. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. I think that's the longest I've talked I think, like, uninterrupted. I think.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You know, God. But I mean, you enjoyed.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Watched it when it first came out, and I'm excited every time a seasons came out.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the 4th season, which is supposed to be the last. Which would be nice because I don't think it's extended as well just yet. So hopefully, if it dies off the 4th season, there you go. It's like The Good Place. The Good Place lasted as long as it needed to.
Yeah.
It didn't keep on going because it was popular. It just ended.
It just ended when it needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it didn't do a Supernatural.
No, it's no. I like it when shows do that when they know when enough is enough.
Yeah, the one sitting there and you go, but money though.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Watchmen HBO series. I'm so glad that that's just one season because it doesn't need to be anymore.
Yeah.
And Damon Lindelof has said there will not be a second season, at least not with me.
Well, did you ever watch Supernatural?
I haven't watched Supernatural.
So first 5 seasons, maybe in the top of my head.
Yeah.
Fantastic, really good. What the writer intended.
Yeah.
And then it got super popular, and by the time the end of the 5th season, we're pretty much closed all the gaps and everything. We're like, how about we do something more?
Yeah.
And it went for another 10 years.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I dropped off like halfway through that.
Jesus.
It's a very recommended show as long as you watch to about season 6.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your little thing.
Wasn't it like a little bit the same with Heroes? Because
Heroes was different because Heroes had the writer's strike.
Oh, I see. Right, so that was directly.
Same with Lost. Lost had a writer's strike as well, which kind of affected it. So season 1 of Heroes, fantastic, really good show.
Yeah.
Season 2 went a bit like, what the fuck's? They kind of went a bit weird.
What the hell's this?
Because the writer's strike happened and things got changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then season 3 they just went on from there.
Yeah.
And the same with Lost. I think Lost got about season 4, 5 maybe.
Yeah.
And that's when it started to change.
Yeah. Yeah, because I heard that about. I haven't seen Lost actually. I would like to.
Lost is interesting.
Yeah.
I've only seen it the once. I bought like a big Blu-ray edition of it. It was like this really cool cubey little thing.
Yeah.
Ending was like, ugh, but it went on for that long. It's a big investment. I think it's on Disney.
Oh, is it?
I think Disney Plus has got them all.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll have a listen. I will get around to Lost at one point.
It is a lot though. It is a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
So the episodes are like 40 minutes long, and there's like 20 to a season or something like that.
Jesus Christ, that's
correctly.
a lot. That shit.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Lost.
I mean, I feel like this is the argument that we were saying before. It's like, is Stranger Things getting to that? Is it a victim of its own success?
I'm hoping the next season's the last. I know I said this about this season as well. I really enjoyed it, but like, kids are getting older. It's not going to be as like quirky when all of them are like in the 20s.
Yeah, because like season 4, I feel like did pick it back up.
Yeah.
You know, even though I did enjoy season 3, you could sense there was feelings of it. Maybe this is starting to outstay its welcome a little bit.
Well, I think the Duffer Brothers stopped writing it.
Yeah.
Between like end of 3, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Do the Duffer Brothers still?
I mean, the credited is like created by
directors.
Directors.
So we'll see. We'll see what season 5's like. But I do think it should end.
Yeah.
I do think it's outstayed its welcome. It's starting. I think do season 5 well and just end it.
Yeah.
You know, and then
Netflix will be like, but money though.
And it's like, well, do something else. Invest in new shows.
Do a spin-off of them other people that were in season 2 that you never heard of again.
I don't think that would.
The other ones with powers.
I know. Oh yeah, there was other people. Yeah, who we'll never see ever again. But no, I'll watch. I would like to watch season 1 of Heroes.
Yeah, really good. I fucking loved it when it first came out.
Yeah.
It's another one of them series that's got really unique powers. Like, even if they're like kind of generic, it's just a tap.
Oh, right. It's like the house is booting up.
Yeah. Even if it's just like some of them are like normal superpowers, they've got a different way of seeing it. Like the guy who can fly is like technically floating, kind of.
Yeah.
It's not like actual flight. It's really cool.
Yeah, and there's a guy who can predict the future, but through his paintings in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
Yeah, they've got like really like interesting
powers.
Like sort of powers. Like again, My Hero Academia. This had it.
Like, I like stuff like that. You know, like really. Because the thing is, like, I'm trying to come up with an idea for my own. Because I'd love to do a comic book series. I would love to do something like that, and I'm trying to do the same thing. Like, try and come up with like a unique concept for a superhero group, and and I'm trying to come up with alternative powers and stuff like that, and things like My Hero Academia and this and like Umbrella Academy have been quite big inspirations for me. So that's which is
because again they've got like really unique kind of cool powers.
Best Jeanist.
Like, uses denim.
How do you top that? You know what I mean?
Just denim
incredible.
Powers. The powers. If he was born earlier in the century, he wouldn't have that many powers.
The powers of denim.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's brilliant. It's
fantastic.
It's such a good idea. Because what is it, like the gene threads? Is that you can?
You manipulate. He wears full denim pretty much, and he manipulates the denim like the
incredible
threads.
It's so incredible. Like, it's such a silly but brilliant idea. Do you know what I mean? Like,
again, that's what the good hero powers are. Some of these are
just stupid, but like great ideas. You know.
The power of frog, of everything with frog. She can even like put her guts inside out to wash them like a frog.
I hate that so much. That is my worst nightmare.
And she's a great character.
Horrible.
Do
frogs do that?
Yeah, frogs just kind of put the things in. Some frogs do put the things inside.
I hate that so much.
I forgot you hate frog shit.
I fucking hate frogs.
I had to talk about the frog, didn't I?
Oh god, that just made me hate them even worse. Even more. Oh, terrible.
But yeah, I love kind of unique powers. You know, I had really good unique powers as well, which is a weird one to say. The South Park games.
Oh, right.
The Stick of Truth and the other one, the one with the heroes as well.
Yeah.
They just had like really weird powers.
Yeah. Well, we actually on the subject in the band, we actually tried to come up with like shit superpowers, and if we were like shit superheroes, and the one that I didn't realize that I'd nicked this from Sky High, which is quite good actually, which is really quite good. I called me Mr. Glows, and that I just glow in the dark, and that's it. And of course, I didn't realize that there's a character in Sky High.
Glow in the dark.
Yeah, that's all his power is. That he just glows in the dark. That's it. Because he stands there, do your power. He's like, I'm doing it. Like, just turn the lights off, and then you'll see. And he just glows in the dark. So they call me Mr. Glows. Jamie's was Liquid Man, and he turns into liquid.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like that's all he does. He just turns into a puddle. And Ryan's was the Flammable Fellow, which he's got the powers of the Human Torch.
Yeah.
He can set himself on fire, but he's not immune to fire. So, so like we were like, this could be like really quite a traumatized character where he's like,
just full of burns.
Like, yeah, literally, he did it once. But then he had to quickly like jump in a vat of like water or whatever to set him to put himself out, but he's covered in like burns, and like 3rd degree like burns and scars and stuff like that, so he knows that his powers are, but he dare not do it again, otherwise he'll die.
That's so fucking stupid. I love it.
It's a super power. And like another one was I can't remember what Jake's was. I think we're trying to figure out one for Jake, but I'm sure that Ryan's partner, hers was she just could remember the metro timetable. just committed to memories, just like knows it. I just found that so funny, and it's like what I think Alan Moore said on his creative storytelling masterclass that the BBC have ripped off.
Yeah.
Called their BBC Maestro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Alan Moore's done one on storytelling and comic book writing or just writing in general.
Edgar Wright's got one coming out.
That's really cool. That's
it's like
really
80 quid for the entire lot though. Which is
I know, yeah. I mean,
better than our university education.
Yeah. And Alan Moore said on one of his things, because he goes through like how to create a 3-dimensional character and how to do story structure and things like that, and he went, but he talks about like if you're doing comic book writing, and if you're doing superhero writing, most superpowers are useless. Anyway, if you think about it, most superpowers are useless. He was like, heat vision, for example.
Yeah.
Matches, they do the job. A little like fire thing. Like, I mean, why would you need heat vision? Like, you've got cookers. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you want to heat something up or set something on fire, you've got the majority of things there that do that already. If anything, it'd be a nuisance. Because what if you set someone on fire accidentally? And even super speed. There is never really, really a call to have that. If you did have super speed powers, I'll tell you what your job would be. Pizza delivery. That's what you'd be doing. You'd be a delivery man.
By the time we get there, it'd be cold.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally. Yeah. The wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, that's what
all the top ones are just fucking it up.
And they'll be away. Yeah, exactly. And he's like, so it's useless. Most superpowers, really, most of them are useless.
Yeah.
You know. And he said, and as soon as you realise that would probably give birth to a lot of creative thoughts.
Yeah.
You know. And you know, which he's right, of course. You know, which explains Watchmen to some degree. It's like just give one character all of the superpowers, you know, and then see how he deals with that.
Yeah.
You know. But no, I would thoroughly recommend Umbrella Academy, and I can't wait to see where it goes next.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to see more.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. What have you got next for me, Lee?
Well, judging by the schedule, I think for this is the end of October's episode.
Oh.
I don't even know, like the last one was like August, but you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm starting a thing for next month because it's horror. It's Halloween, horror-y.
Halloween, yes.
So we're calling it Horror Spacey.
Horror Spacey. What does that entail?
I could give you a horror film, or I could give you a film that has Kevin Spacey in it.
Oh, I can't wait. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I haven't decided which one I'm going to do yet, so we don't know what it is till it comes out.
Well, we'll never know.
Yep.
Right in time for my birthday as well.
Yeah. Birthday episode.
Well, yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.